Okay, so Summer, you get to pick the next question.
Things to bring for 200.
Things to bring for 200. Extra things for bored kids. Phrase it in a question. These are extra things for bored kids.
Cards.
Cards?
What is cards? What?
Phrase it in the form of a question. I'm telling you the answer.
What is cards?
What is cards? Cards, coloring books. Nope. Games, things to bring to the beach. You have your little extra bag for the kids who get to the water and decide that they don't want to be in the water. Michelle, go ahead.
Ratios for 200.
Ratios for 200. Ratios for 200. Normal ratio for grades 2 to 7.
1 to 15.
1 to 15, that's right. That's the normal ratio for the older kids. Okay.
What is 1 to 15?
Yes.
Get over it.
Are we getting really technical? We're getting really technical.
Wow.
So Megan, you get to pick the next question.
Supervision for 100.
Supervision for 100 is what you make before you leave and have approved by your supervisor.
What you make before you leave.
Yeah, Michelle? A plan. You make a plan and you take it to your supervisor. Because especially when you're swimming, it's probably like a big day. It's not just a day that you're like, oh, it looks like a nice day to go swimming. You've booked the place, you've told the parents, you maybe had to have some, check in with about their swimming level and all that. So it's a day that you're planning. You need to plan where people are going to stand, who's going to be in the water, who feels they're the strong enough swimmer, and one of the main things I want to say is if you don't feel sure, don't do it. Right? If you're feeling uncomfortable about going swimming with kids, don't go swimming with kids. Find somebody else who is, trade with somebody, but tell them, I want to be the beach person. Or if you don't even want to be there because something happened a long time ago and you don't want to be near the water, tell somebody, because we don't want to put you in a situation where you're feeling like you're overwhelmed by kids in the water and you don't want to be there, and it's a bad situation for you. So take care of yourself, make a plan with all field trips. Make a plan before you go. Okay.
Places to go people to see for 100.
Places to go, people to see for 100.
Go big here. Wait for these big questions.
You need to answer so you can. What was that?
Nothing.
The person you go over your plan with and ask questions if you're unsure.
Your supervisor?
Your supervisor.
What is Linda?
What is it?
There you go.
Go big.
That's
I got you. I'm going to take things to bring for 500.
Things to bring for 500.
Get spicy.
What you need to, now this is a preference, I was asked why, but this is a preference for me, but I think you'll still get it. What you need to put on after eating and after water play. Michelle. Sunscreen.
What is sunscreen?
What is?
Are you going to do that for every question? You're going to rest.
So I just find it handy to do it after you eat, because then you're not getting sunscreen in your food, for one thing. And then it's just a habit that you eat and you put on your sunscreen, and we eat about every 2.5, 3 hours. So that's about the right amount of time. You have snack in the morning at 9, you put on your sunscreen by the time you reach the lake. You have lunch at noon. It's about the right time. Of course, if you see somebody getting wet, you always just put, we don't want any issues, and after water play, of course. So, go ahead.
Places to go for.
Places to go for 400.
Going up.
Can you list 3 pools in our area? Ryan.
Lady Smith.
Ladies.
Yeah, Aquatic Center.
Yeah.
And boat.
Oh, for places to go for. So I had Bevan, Knack, and Ladysmith. are ones in our area. Does anybody have anywhere else that's a pool?
Well, the outdoor pool in Bowen is what I thought, so,
Yeah.
but I mean, I kind of got hit that mixed up.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
We've got
Because the Comox people said Comox, and I didn't
Right.
think to put
Yeah.
Comox up, right?
We've got a Cowichan too.
You've gone to Cowichan too, I heard.
Oh,
Yeah,
right, yeah.
Cowichan's quite, Qualicum, it's nice, yeah.
Couch is nice because it's so quiet.
I'll
Do
take,
they have more open times now at Cowichan? Because they used to have like, the thing I didn't like about Cowichan is they had specific swimming times where NAC was really nice because you can just go,
Yeah.
right? Like it's not,
Yeah.
oh, we have swimming lessons now and we have this now. So that's, you might want to, make sure you check the times. Okay,
I will take supervision for 500.
supervision for 500. When do you use active supervision?
All the time.
All the
What is all
time.
the
What is all the time? Must be used all the time, active supervision, especially when swimming, but all the time when we're out on field trips and in the facilities and everywhere. But most important, that it has to be, as they put, direct and constant. Direct and constant. So when we're at the lake, when I've been at Fuller Lake, we often take 3 leaders. One would be on the float, one would be in the water, and one would be on the beach. And the one on the beach is watching the kids in the water and at the float because those leaders are actively playing with the kids. They're counting their group, they know they have 5, they're telling the other person, one's coming in, you're doing the hand signals and everything. But the person on the beach is much more able to kind of look out and make sure, because the person on the float is lifting people up, is playing with the kids. So everybody is doing that active supervision all the time. Okay,
Things to bring for 400.
things to bring
For 400.
for 400 is must wear unless swimming.
A hat.
A hat. There's 2 things.
And. Sunscreen.
No.
A shirt.
What is a shirt? And a hat.
There you go.
What is?
I froze.
So as a league team, we discussed this at our last meeting that we will be using, have their t-shirts and their hats on all the time in the water parks, everywhere, except if they're actually swimming in the water.
Yes. I knew that, Clover. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
You just choked.
And leaders too. Leaders too are supposed to wear their work shirt and a hat to model good behavior. That was pointed out by one of the others. Licensing wants everybody to model the proper behavior that we want them to have. So wear your hat, so they'll wear their hat.
I got a big head.
I mean, there is the argument that you can say, well, I'm an adult and I get to choose whether I wear my hat or not, and you're a child and your parent, and the rules say that you have to wear your hat. You can say that to the kids, but licensing likes you to model the behavior that you want the kids to have. So sit when you eat, wear a hat when you're out, put your sunscreen on. Color flag if you're only allowed shoulder deep.
Oh, we don't know this.
I'm gonna take a wild guess.
What is?
No? I have no idea.
What is red?
What is red? No.
What is orange?
No. What is yellow? Yellow. Good one. Shoulder deep is
Yeah.
yellow.
All the colors.
Okay, next.
Ratios for 500.
Ratios for 500 is the ratio for at the beach or the lake.
What is 1 to 5?
1 to 5 is your ratio at the
Whoa.
beach, and that's, well, if you're swimming, okay? So if you go to the beach with the kids and you're not swimming, you can be 1 to 12,
that's-
but if you're going to the lake to go swimming, you're supposed to be 1 to 5, and that doesn't mean, I don't believe that means that you can have 12 on the beach and say, oh, well, I'm looking at, it's 12 to 1 here and it's 5 to 1 there. It's 1 to 5. So when we go to the beach, it does cost us a little bit of money. It's a free trip, right? The beach, you book your beach, and it's free. but it's gonna cost a little bit in manpower. But that's what we want to see, right? So, okay.
Okay, places to go for 300.
Places to go for 300. Lakes in our area with lifeguards, I have 3 up there.
Oh,
Michelle?
I don't know too. Westwood. Oh, in our area.
Well, we go to them.
What is Westwood Lake? What is Long Lake? And what is Foley Lake?
Now, I'm not sure about Long Lake.
They have a lifeguard post there. I'm not sure how often lifeguards actually.
I've never seen a lifeguard there. Has anybody else seen a lifeguard?
I can finish that there. What is UBO?
Yubo,
Oh.
Arbutus.
That's not in our area. I was thinking that.
It's nice.
That's like an hour. Where's
Jared can have it.
Arbutus is.
Next summer.
You get a ticket.
You're not an expert.
Thank you.
Say it like that.
Oh, okay.
It's really.
So these are the ones that you have to call to be able to book. They'll send you a contract. They'll tell you where you're sitting on the beach. They'll say you're on the left-hand side or in the center. They'll put an extra lifeguard on for you. That's why they really want to know that. Yeah. So they're really good about it, and those are the ones that you would call. So, okay. So, Jared.
What is our ratio to 400?
So, how many kids to send together to the bathroom? Michelle? 3. And why 3, Michelle?
Stop it. Because if one gets hurt, one stays with the hurt kid, the other one goes and gets laid.
Yeah. What's the other reason? Because one always tells the truth and the other 2 don't. But okay, go ahead.
Supervision for 400.
Supervision for 400 is, how many liters do you need when you're at the lake or the water for the kids to be in the water? I phrased that in a question.
Did you already answer this?
No, I didn't.
Oh,
I was thinking the same thing.
It depends on how many kids.
Well, it does, but there's
What,
a
there's a set
certain
number?
amount you have to have.
3.
No,
2?
2. So
So then-
you have to have 2 at all times, or all the kids have to come out of the water and wait for the other one to come back. That's a licensing regulation. If you have kids in the water and you have 2 liters, I prefer 3, that's a
Right.
preference. It's nice to have that. But if you only have 2 liters at the water, you'll have 10 kids because you're 5
Yeah,
to
right.
1. And you'll have to bring all the kids out of the water for that other liter to take kids to the bathroom.
Right.
So that's why it's nice to have 3, because if you have somebody, you don't have enough kids, you can bring that person who's waist deep in the water playing with kids, you can bring them up to the beach and have their kids come in, and then they're on the beach, the person's at the float, and the other person can take the 2 kids up to the bathroom. But you still have to stay in ratios, right? So it depends on whether you have 15 kids to 3 people, or if you have 12 kids to 3 people, right? But yeah, so 2 liters at all times. And at the pool, that's not true. That's at the lake. So at the pool, it said you can have 1 person, but they have to be on the deck. And they have to be walking around the deck to be able to maintain constant. So you wouldn't be taking Ks and 1s with you to the pool in that instance, because you have to be within arm's reach of your 2 to 1, right? If you're with Ks and 1s. Some of the smaller clubs might have to take their little ones to the pool, but we prefer that they stay at the water parks and spray parks and stuff if
I don't think so.
so.
Things to bring 300.
Things to bring for 300. Extra things for hungry kids. What are snacks? Yeah. So granola bars are a good one, because you'll always have somebody who forgets their lunch, right? And you bring some extra things for hungry kids.
Flag tape 100.
Flag tape 100. The color tape, if a child is not allowed in the water. Michelle.
Red.
Yes.
I was trying to think if it was the stripe, red and white or red.
Red. Red is not allowed in the water at all.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Places to go people to see for 500.
500. The place you call to book swim times. And I'm thinking about lakes as well as pools. So there's kind of two areas.
You goes one.
Yeah, but where do you call?
Oh, where do you call?
Where do you call?
What is Parks and Recreation?
The rec, yeah, your municipality or your rec office, right, is where you would call ahead of time to be able to book your times, get your contracts. You have to be able to send it back to them. So when you're planning your swim days, you're planning them far ahead, and you're
Ratios for 300.
Ratios for 300 is max group size. There's two numbers. Max group size for Ks and 1s and 2 to 7. Grades.
24 and 30.
24 and 30, that's right. I just put 24 up here because I was gonna do a separate question, but yes, it's 24 and 30 is maximum group size. Division 300. What you need to have and do while you're on a field trip.
Count numbers.
Count and
attendance.
a list, that's right. So lists and counts. And my rule of thumb is every time you pass through a door, you count the kids. So when you go out the door, you count how many go out. When you get on the bus, you count how many go on. When you get off the bus, you count how many go off. And then while you're at the lake, of course, you're always doing your constant counts. But I would split lists up too, right? If you can possibly split, you know that you have this. So it's just easier than trying to count 15 kids that you have your 5 that, there's loop, 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 right? And so I just find it easier than trying to find 15 kids. It's easier to find your 5 or your 7 or whatever you split your lists up as. But those are my tips.
Supervision for 200.
Supervision for 200. What you need to have with your co-workers and your parents.
Good communication.
Communication. So make sure you're talking with your other leaders, you're using kind words, you're using all your signals. Oh, I have 3, you have 2, right? And everybody who's been here a while knows all the signals. Somebody's going to the bathroom.
We haven't made signals. We're on that.
Okay.
Places to go to.
For 200. I thought I'd have these memorized by now. The person at the beach that gives the swim tests.
Ooh.
Fun.
No, experience.
Nope.
Like,
Why is Michelle? Nope. Lifeguard. So when you book your time, at least at Fuller, the lifeguard takes all the kids that want to swim, not the ones that don't want to swim, lines them up at the edge and has them swim so many feet, and then flags them for if they're a weak swimmer or not. So we're all the way to Lake.
Oh, sorry, excuse me. Things to bring 100.
Things to bring 100. This will keep you hydrated.
water.
Water. Jared's electrolytes.
Okay, now we're stuck with flag tape.
Okay.
Flag tape, 200.
Flag tape 200 is the color tape if a child must wear a life jacket. Michelle.
That's the straight one.
That's the red and white striped one, and that's right. There you go. 300. The color of flag tape that a child is allowed, if they're allowed to access all the water.
I'm gonna guess green.
Nope. What is blue? What is blue? And you know what? From this, I think green should be the color, because green means go, right? So that might be something. Oh, blue means all the water. It's true.
Oh, I'm gonna go with 400.
400. Thank you. And that's flag tape. The color flag tape if the child can only go waist deep.
Orange.
Nope.
I wasn't thinking I would get this far. Is it green this time?
Nope.
Oh, sorry.
I was in just orange too.
What is pink?
Pink.
Were you gonna say pink?
So pink is the other color. Okay, so bonus question for flagging. And yeah, flagging. What flag tape supersedes all the other flag tapes? And it's not a color.
Oh.
It's not a color.
One second.
What flag tape?
What flag tape?
Supersedes all the other flag tapes. It's the flag tape that the lifeguard puts on for the swim tests. I don't know what color they use. But they do the swim test, and even though mom has said the child is a really good swimmer, if they do the swim test and they don't pass it, they're going to go get, I think it's usually white, a flag tape from the lifeguard that says they can't go past their waist. And no matter how much they cry, the lifeguard overrules all our stuff because they're the boss, right? So, any other questions?